How do we help a dog who is freezing, shutting down at the vet, which is correlated with the more extreme side of a distress response? But we can't give a vet medication because it will mess with the clinical picture. And the dog's fear is based in the reality of being separated from their human when they have to be hospitalized. It is always such a tricky thing to balance physical health and emotional health. And one of the places that we start with that balance is by recognizing how the two are incredibly intertwined. Actually, dogs who have big stress responses at the vet are likely to get care later than dogs who don't. Because we are thinking about that balance. Is this worth stressing them out over? And of course, we know that toxic amounts of stress, especially chronically, is really bad for the dog's physical health as well as their emotional and behavioral health. Now, I certainly don't know this specific dog's medical history, but one thing I might push back on in general is the idea that a dog can't be given vet medications before a vet visit because of how it changes the clinical picture. Sometimes this is true with no way around it. There may be diagnostics that are being performed that require the dog not be on vet medication. But it's also important to recognize, and many veterinarians do, that extreme stress is also a confounding variable and can also dramatically change the picture that we're seeing. So this is certainly worth discussing with your veterinarian, as well as perhaps a veterinary behaviorist. Now, when you have a dog who is stressed at the vet, it's important to work with a professional who also prioritizes emotional health as part of the physical health picture. And this is true for practical reasons too. A dog who is going into freeze is continuing to develop incredibly negative associations with the vet hospital. And I've worked with many dogs who cannot be seen at the vet. Things shift with their emotional, behavioral, physical health picture, and suddenly it simply becomes impossible to have them seen at all. And that is not a place we want to end up with a dog with complex medical needs. Working with a veterinarian who also prioritizes emotional health means that they have their facility set up in a way that considers the dog's stress levels. We avoid trigger stacking through things like waiting in lobbies. We have staff who are aware of body language and low stress handling. In non-emergent situations, they aren't pushing through for the sake of getting things done. We can also work on distress to the vet specifically outside of the context of emergent situations. So things like happy visits, which for my clients often involve starting in the parking lot of the vet when the vet is closed, just sniffing around and having treats. Not even getting out of the car if the dog doesn't want to. We can enhance agency in other areas of their life so that in moments where they have less agency, that hit isn't quite as strong. That can include enhancing their ability to communicate when they need a break. We can build their ability to self-regulate. Sniffing activities, licking activities. We can use co-regulation. Now, a dog in a freeze state is probably not going to be able to engage in those behaviors. So this is part of a bigger picture, practicing out of context, getting those stress levels lower overall, as well as in the context of the vet.